All right, folks, we're heading into the final stretch of the season, and all eyes are turning to Saturday's massive Scottish Cup final. And honestly, there's one name that's quietly stealing the spotlight in a pretty unusual way: Jeff Schlupp. Now, here's the deal with Schlupp. He's not exactly been a key figure on the pitch lately. His minutes are limited and his role a bit uncertain, and no one's really talking about him as a long-term piece for Celtic. But despite all that, the man's got a real shot at walking away with not just one, but two winners' medals in the space of 2 weekends. Let that sink in for a second. So what's the story? Over the weekend, Schlupp posted a photo on Instagram flexing a shiny FA Cup winners' medal. At first glance, you'd be forgiven for thinking, wait, what? But yes, he's part of the Crystal Palace squad that lifted the FA Cup this season. Granted, his contribution in the competition was a grand total of 13 minutes in a third-round tie against Stockport County. But hey, rules are rules. If you're in the squad, you get the medal. And so he did. It kind of caught everyone by surprise, like, oh yeah, Schlupp was at Palace for that run. And now, if things go Celtic's way this weekend, he could add a Scottish Cup medal to that collection. FA Cup and Scottish Cup winners' medals in the same season. That's not just rare, that's pub quiz royalty. And Schlupp wasn't just relaxing after his Instagram flex, he was also spotted at the King Power Stadium on Sunday. Leicester. City was saying their emotional goodbyes to club legend Jamie Vardy, who's set to leave this summer. The buzz is that Vardy's next stop will be none other than Celtic. That's right, Vardy in green and white hoops. It still sounds a bit surreal, but the rumor mill isn't slowing down, and it looks more and more like that move is legit. Bringing in someone with Vardy's experience, especially after everything he's done with Leicester, title winner, Golden Boot contender, England caps, would be a major statement. And having guys like Schlupp and Vardy reuniting in Scotland, there's a strange, almost poetic symmetry to it. Shifting the focus to the team itself, it's been an eventful few days for Celtic both on and off the pitch. Ticket sales for the final at Hampden Park are officially done, completely sold out. If anyone was holding out hope for a last minute drop, forget it. Demand has been through the roof, and it's easy to understand why. This isn't just any cup final. It's the cherry on top of a long season, and it's coming against a hungry Aberdeen side. Now, there's been some chatter online about the ticket allocation, some saying it's a 50-50 split between the clubs, but that doesn't quite add up. Aberdeen received around 20,000 tickets, and it seems unlikely that Celtic were handed an equal share. Realistically, it's probably a more layered breakdown. Maybe the lower tier of Hampden is evenly split, but the upper tier might lean heavily in Celtic's favour. A lot of corporate tickets get mixed into these finals too, so that further skews the picture. Either way, the atmosphere is going to be electric. If you're one of the lucky ones with a ticket soaking in, this one's going to be special. And while we're looking ahead to Saturday, let's talk lineups. There's a general sense of what Brendan Rodgers is going to do, and much of it points to repeating the starting 11 from Trophy Day against St. Mirren. 10 of those 11 seem locked in. Schmeichel in goal, a back four of Johnston, Carter, Vickers. Scales and Taylor. In midfield, you've got McGregor and Ektal as the anchors, no surprises there. The only real question mark lies in that third midfield spot. Will it be Paulo Bernardo or Luke McCowan? Bernardo's form hasn't been sparkling lately. Against St. Mirren, he struggled to find rhythm, though to be fair, the entire team looked a bit off that day. Still, he's been hyped up internally, especially by guys like Maida, who's gone on record saying Bernardo's one of the most technically gifted players in the squad. That's high praise coming from someone who shares the training pitch with him every day. And if we look back at the season, Bernardo has delivered in the big moments. He was instrumental in that crucial win against Rangers, staying on his feet and setting up the goal that defined the match. So even if recent form doesn't scream automatic starter, his Bigham pedigree might give him the edge. Personally, I'd go with Bernardo in the lineup and use McCowan as an impact sub in the second half. Now, speaking of potential starters, let's talk about the buzz surrounding James Forrest. There's been a quiet but growing movement pushing for him to start the final, and honestly, it makes a lot of sense. Forrest has been flying under the radar all season, but these last few games he's looked reborn. Confident, sharp, full of energy, the kind of performance that forces the manager to pay attention. At Pittodrie, he was lively against St. Mirren. On Trophy Day, he came off the bench and immediately made things happen. He's not just showing flashes, he's stringing together real performances. And here's the thing, this isn't some rookie we're talking about. James Forrest has been here before. He's played in cup finals. He's scored in them. He knows what it takes. From what I can recall, he's got at least 3 goals in League Cup finals alone for Celtic. That kind of experience is invaluable in a high-pressure environment like Hampden. Brendan Rodgers was even asked about Forrest after that St. Mirren game. The usual, has he given you food for thought kind of question. And instead of brushing it off, Rodgers admitted that rotation in recent games was about assessing the squad heading into the final. He didn't rule Forrest out. In fact, he doubled down on having a bit of thinking to do about his lineup. So don't be shocked if Forrest's name is on the team sheet come Saturday. And honestly, I'd back that move 100%. Now, while all this on-pitch speculation brews, there's also been some transfer noise, particularly around Matt O'Reilly. A tweet popped up from a very well-known transfer insider. You can guess who, hinting that O'Reilly is attracting interest from Germany, the Premier League, and other European clubs. Interestingly, that tweet vanished soon after it was posted. Deleted. No explanation. Now, O'Reilly isn't even at Celtic anymore. He's with Brighton. But the link still matters. Celtic reportedly have a selling clause in his contract, meaning that if Brighton sell him on for a profit, Celtic get a piece of the pie. That was the case with Jeremy Frimpong, so there's precedent. If Brighton sell O'Reilly for anything over what they paid, and that figure was around 25 million, Celtic could see a little boost. It's probably not life-changing money, but in modern football, every little bit helps. Kasper Schmeichel also popped up this week, not just between the sticks, but behind the mic as a guest on Celtic's official podcast. Most of the episode was a deep dive into his career, especially his time at Leicester and with the Danish national team. A bit unexpected, really. You'd think they'd want to focus on Celtic, but it's always interesting to hear players reflect on their journey. Toward the end of the show, Schmeichel did touch on his current teammates, especially giving props to Sinisalo, who stepped in when Schmeichel was out. But perhaps even more intriguing were his comments about Scott Bain. Bain's become a bit of a forgotten figure for fans. Third-choice goalkeeper, rarely seen on the pitch, almost invisible on match days. But Schmeichel painted a different picture. He talked about Bain's attitude, how he shows up every day for training, warms up before matches, even when he knows he won't be in the squad. According to Schmeichel, Bain brings positivity and professionalism every single day. And that's echoed by Joe Hart too. Last year, during his farewell speech, Hart made a point of thanking Bain for being a constant source of joy in the dressing room. It's a reminder that there's so much more to a squad than what we see on the pitch. The guys who don't play are often just as important in shaping the team's energy and mentality. And finally, we circle back to Brendan Rodgers. Now, this one slipped under the radar a bit, but it's worth highlighting. Over the weekend, Rodgers spoke to the press about his future at Celtic, specifically his contract situation. He made it clear that the ball is in the club's court. If they want to extend his stay, he's open to that. He talked about having a conversation with Dermot Desmond during the summer. Nothing dramatic, nothing to spark panic, just an honest reflection. Rodgers said that this season he didn't want distractions. The focus was on performance winning and building momentum. Now that the season's winding down, he's ready to talk about what comes next. And you know what? That's encouraging. Rodgers has always spoken highly of his return to Celtic. He said many times how much he enjoys living in Scotland again, how Glasgow feels like home. Of course, there's always that lingering paranoia among fans. After all, his first stint ended abruptly and that stung. But nothing about Rodgers' recent comments suggests he's looking for the exit. Quite the opposite. If Celtic continue to match his ambitions, especially in Europe, then it feels like he's here for the long haul. And that's crucial. With the new European format guaranteeing 8 league phase matches, whether in the Champions League or Europa League, Celtic have a real opportunity to build something lasting. It's not like the old days when a few group games could make or break a season. There's more runway now, more chances to compete, learn, and grow. Rodgers knows that. And if the club backs him, this could be the start of something special. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. There are whispers around Glasgow this week that Celtic boss Brendan Rodgers is weathering more than just the pressures of football. Though the club remains locked in a tense title race, speculation has emerged suggesting the Northern Irishman is enduring difficulties in his personal life. Challenges that, while unconfirmed officially, seem to be casting a shadow over his typically composed demeanor. Rodgers, who returned to the hoops after a successful stint in his first tenure, has always been regarded for his tactical acumen and calm presence on the touchline. But recent appearances have sparked concern among supporters and pundits alike. Whether it's in post-match interviews or on the sidelines, the manager has appeared more withdrawn, at times distracted, fueling talk that all may not be well behind the scenes. Sources close to the club have been tight-lipped, but those familiar with the situation suggest that Rodgers is facing personal matters that are affecting him deeply. While the nature of these struggles remains private, the effect is beginning to ripple into the public eye. At a club where expectations run sky high and every gesture is scrutinized, any change in behavior is quickly noted. Despite these off-field concerns, Rodgers continues to lead the Celtic squad with the same professionalism he's long been known for. Training sessions remain structured and match preparations continue with intensity. Still, there's a lingering sense that something is weighing heavily on the man at the helm of Parkhead. In a footballing landscape where personal lives often become fodder for public consumption, it's worth remembering that behind every manager's sharp suit and tactics board lies a human being with personal battles. For now, Rodgers has neither confirmed nor denied the rumors, maintaining his silence and focus on the pitch. But the Celtic faithful, always fiercely loyal, will no doubt rally behind their manager, hopeful he finds strength both on and off the field as the season reaches its climax. Hello, fam! Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.